Hey, thanks for coming back to the channel. This is going to be a little conversation about the kinds of firearms you need to deal with the threats that are most probable today being 2022. I'm going to focus on the urban area, those of us that live in an urban environment. And that's important because you don't have $1 billion. Well, if you do, you should have your own Twitter or something. But um, you want to think about the nature of the threat and how probable it will be that you'll run into those as a civilian, because that's going to determine the types of firearms that you have, whether it's a pistol meaning a revolver or a semi-automatic, or a long gun, whether that's a semi-automatic, bolt action, or a shotgun. So the first thing to consider is who those threats are going to be in an urban environment today. Well, uh, they're going to invade your person, which is probably going to be out in public, and most likely, if you're walking around, that will be one, maybe two people. Um, so, what do you need? Well, you need a minimum of 6 rounds, assuming you are 100% accurate to deal with those threats. And because that's 3 rounds per person, that's kind of the number that's banded around. It comes from law enforcement, but the number is about 3 rounds to stop a threat, pistol rounds. So that's a minimum, and once you empty that revolver, don't think that you're going to have time to reload. So if you have not stopped the threats, and I say plural, with those 6 rounds, you better have been on the run somewhere, or find cover or something else that's going to give you time to reload that revolver. And you should have some type of speed loader to make that happen. Now, what kind of range is that? Well, you're really talking about 10 yards. 10 yards. Under stress, 10 yards. And again, we're talking about outside. If you have a semi-automatic pistol, you have a lot more flexibility, both in terms of missing your target, right? And how many rounds you have before you have to reload. So in a conflict like that, the semi-automatic wins, unless, well, it wins. Even the 6 shots, 6 round compacts or subcompacts. The next level, while you're outside, is in your car. And that's called a carjacking, of course. And almost always today, that's 2 or 3 people. There's one driving a getaway car, and there's 2. One is going to come on the driver's side, and one is going to come on the passenger side to distract you and to threaten you. That's why you should never, ever roll with your windows down, because it just makes it way too easy. And make sure that your doors are locked. But what do you need in a carjacking situation? Well, if you have a seatbelt on, you're screwed. And I know there's training you can do to maneuver to get the seatbelt out of the way. However, the chances of you being able to do that as fast as these people can be on you is unrealistic. I don't care how, and I've tried to train to be fast at that, and it just doesn't work. The only thing that does work, for me anyway, is appendix carry in the car, because then you can wear a seatbelt and the firearm is still readily accessible. Now, a lot of people hate the idea of appendix carry, but I mean, if you need to do that, that's one way if you're going to have it on your body. What I do is I have a holster in the car by my right leg. So my hand is instantly able to access the firearm. Uh, and I've chosen to make sure that that's a semi-automatic, not a revolver, because there's too many people. You now need probably 9 rounds, probably, because you're going to miss, right? You're going to miss. People are going to be bobbing around. So you're going to definitely need 9 rounds and probably more, assuming that you're trying to get away. So then there's that. Let's go to your home now. A lot of people, well, I don't know how many, but my firearm is on me or within arm's reach 24/7. So I have the ability to deal with threats that are trying to get into the house. That's called a home invasion. That's a home invasion. Always will be 3 people. Always. Today. One driving the getaway car, one person armed, and the other person doing the breach. All 3 of them are probably armed. Now, someone will say, well, you shoot at one, they're going to run. I'm not betting on that, and nor should you. So you're going to need something that has the capacity of more than 9 rounds to deal with a home invasion with a pistol or a handgun. The handgun is preferable because inside it's much more maneuverable than a long gun. That's just the way it is. Not that you can't defend yourself with a long gun, but a pistol is a close quarters, inside close quarters type of tool. And that's why you should have one. Now, depending on what type of home you live in, if you live in a small apartment, there's really only one way in, and that's the front door. You may have a back door. If you have a back door that's not secured or securable, anytime you hear a knock on the front door, always look at the back door first, because the front door knock is always a distraction, especially if you don't know who's coming. You haven't ordered pizza or whatever. So there's a hint. Knock at the front door, look at the back door first, or back windows. Handgun with more than 9 rounds for self-defense inside the house. Anywhere else out in public, you're out shopping, you're at work, you may be present during a present where multiple people are involved in the shooting. I'm not going to use the term mass shooting because that's been misused so much that the definition loses itself. But there are shootings where multiple people are involved. Involved means there are multiple shooters, there are multiple casualties, some collateral damage, some intended. That's for the detectives to figure out. That's why they hate those things. But if you happen to be, and I can't say this enough, if you happen to be present and you hear shots fired, you probably have a handgun. You have reduced range, 10 yards, and you have no idea where the shots are coming from. If you're going to run to cover, not run away, because you don't know where the fire is coming from. And what most infantry people do, when we hear shots fired, we hit the deck and then figure it out. Hit the deck, look for cover, and then figure out whether or not you're going to return fire or engage whatever the threat is. Now, there are a lot of people out there who say, well, I'm going to run out there and engage. I'm going to shoot them. I'm going to engage the bad guys. About 5 or 6 years ago in a Walmart. In a Walmart, an incident happened where just that. A couple, man and woman, decided that they were wanted to start the race riot and the next Civil War, and they entered the Walmart at both entrances. One went in one went in the other. The man announced loudly, the revolution started, and started popping off rounds. There was a customer inside the customer service area who was armed and decided that he was gonna go to work, right? So what he does is he walks out, and if you've been in a Walmart and you've seen the customer service, there's the big aisle going each way, and he turns to engage the man who's yelling, when his woman, who has a long gun, shoots him in the back of the head and kills him on the spot. You understand what I'm saying? There's always a wingman when stuff like that is going down. And unless you know where they are, you do not need to just jump out there and start getting busy. Now, we talked about urban area. You're outside. When would you need, unless you are a competitive precision distance shooter or something like that, the nominal urban combat range is 100 yards. And I'm telling you, if you shoot a long gun with a good optic on it and you can't hit combat effective hits at 100 yards, you got other issues, which opens up a lot of long guns for you. I'm a fan of the semi-automatic rifle, magazine fed. How many rounds do you need? More than 9 for the same reasons, but you could have a lot of magazines, if you know what I'm saying. And if you get to like 20 rounds of, you put 20 rounds down range and you haven't neutralized the threat, you either don't have enough backup or you're a terrible shot. I'm just saying. So think about what it is you need as you move around in the world to make sure that you have the right tool to defend yourself. Now, I'm not talking about the countries being invaded or we're in civil war or something crazy like that. I'm just talking about you and you defending yourself as a normal course of business and what do you need. Now, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it for this morning. As always, if you like the content, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you do subscribe. Your comments are always welcome. And as always, thanks for watching, and carry on.